All right, YouTube. This Detroit's HPTV coming to you out of Detroit, back with another video. We got to talk about the latest in politics. Last week, we talked about how Donald Trump and the Supreme Court did away with birthright citizenship. Now, today we're going to talk about Jasmine Crockett and the black liberals. The black liberals are getting their wake-up call because although they may use them for clickbait and to come out and be the face of the Democratic Party, they don't want to let them lead in anything. Now, they have a lot of hostility and animosity for black conservatives, as if they don't realize that the Republican Party was started by abolitionists with the help of Frederick Douglass to combat slavery and to get the Emancipation Proclamation signed. And that prior to King and the Civil Rights Movement, most black people were conservative and Republican. Now, somehow they have forgot who the Dixiecrats and the Democrats are. The Democrats are the ones who fought to uphold slavery, created Jim Crow and the KKK. But they forgot that. And the more they get out and pander to the black community in behalf of the Democratic Party, the more foolish they look. You can even look at the trolls in my comments. The trolls are so emotional about what Trump is doing that they forget that they're being used and played by the Democratic Party, who undermines their communities, undermines their upward mobility in this country, and want to keep them as political footballs, like Malcolm X said, on the Democratic plantation. Now, you have to think about Jasmine Crockett. She was their rising star. She wants to come out and be the loudmouth of the party, as if we're not tired of the Medea types. We're not tired of Big Mama telling people what to do and keeping you on the plantation and telling you what you should think. So she got her wake-up call. And I want y'all to see this clip. This for fair use under the 1976 Copyright Act for education and commentary. Let's check out these black people, these black liberals, these black Democrats. Just listen to this.
Thinking that you have your own special little army that's for you. I mean, it is sick. It is really sick. And anybody that supports it is also sick. And so, we've got a mental health crisis in this country because everyone, no matter how you affiliate yourself, should be against Trump, period. This is not partisan for me. Like, I would give anything to have.
Now, before we continue, she's saying that everybody who's in support of the conservative movement and Trump has a mental illness. How is this supposed to appeal to black conservatives? This is why they no longer have a use for her. She's alienating the people that they want to come back on the Democratic plantation and vote for their liberalism. Let's listen to some more.
Sad to say, George Bush. Give me any regular Republican nowadays, and I would be happy. But right now, we have someone who does not care, and he is being enabled by the fact that there are, people that follow him and they pump him up, as well as the people that are surrounding him. And I don't know how far he has to go before we can come together and just say, enough is enough. Like, this should not be partisanship.
Really quick on Jasmine Crockett. She said, I believe, that Trump supporters are mentally ill before calling for bipartisan support against the president. Can you respond to that, especially considering she's a rising star in the Democrat Party right now?
She is a rising star. It's quite something to behold, actually. I hope that she continues to be a rising star for the Republican Party, at least. I think it's incredibly derogatory to accuse nearly 80 million Americans of mental illness. The last time I checked, Jasmine Crockett couldn't dream of winning such a majority of the public as President Trump did. And the America First movement, which President Trump has built, is filled of hardworking patriots, the forgotten men and women, business owners, law enforcement officers, nurses and teachers, and middle America, as we all know, from where you all grew up, outside of this beltway. That's who makes up this president's movement. And Jasmine Crockett should go to a Trump rally sometime and she can see it for herself.
Here we go. Come on. Oh my God, we got a 101 superfractor. That's a 101.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. So we got to talk about black liberals coping over the fact that the Democrat Party has rejected ghetto Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett for a leadership position on the Oversight Committee. Now, I am not surprised by this at all. I think that it is very obvious why Jasmine Crockett was rejected. We're going to get into that. Not only was she rejected, but she was rejected forcefully, right? Because she came in last place in a closed door vote. She came in last place, right? They basically let her know, we don't want you anywhere near the official leadership of the party, despite the fact that, hey, some of these people claim that Jasmine Crockett is a rising star, but apparently the Democrats don't think so. Take a look.
I went through the first leg of this race today, and there have been recent questions about something that just wasn't true, because I'm always loud and proud about everything that I have to say. But it did cause me some issues.
Now, she says she's always loud and proud, and it caused her some issues. They wanted her to be loud. That's how they appeal to the black community. They stereotype everything. They think we wanted some loud, ghetto type of politician representing the interests of the black community. And that's not the truth. Nobody wants a loud mouth just saying whatever sounds clever to the people, but never implementing any policies, getting anything done in our communities. They used her, and now she's just now figuring that out.
For sure. So I placed last in the recommendation from steering policy. And so with that...
Now, I'm going to let this play. I just wanted to say, she is recognized, and this is her liberal Negro wake-up call. She placed last, dead last. Even though she has been on the forefront ever since the campaign, saying all kind of crazy nonsense, appealing to a base of other loudmouth and effeminate men, black and liberal white women, with the stereotype. But now, as far as the leadership position, no, they don't want to make no decisions about policy. She's too ill-equipped for that.
I am not going to caucus for a vote tomorrow. And, those that have decided that they want to stay in the race to pursue the position, I am going to gracefully bow out, because it just kind of is what it is, right? Like, it just is what it is. And so...
Yeah, and unsurprisingly, black liberals, the main cheerleaders of Jasmine Crockett, they're very, very, very upset with this, right? Black liberals, well, I mean, let's be real, black socialists like Joy Reid. On the Breakfast Club, she was really upset about the fact that Democrats rejected Jasmine Crockett for leadership. She believes that Jasmine Crockett should be a leader within the Democrat Party. Take a look.
The Democratic Party eats their own. They are the most backstabbingest party that you ever seen. You see what they did to Joe Biden? You see how Joe Biden even himself went out and didn't pardon any of the black people that he had on his lawfare against Trump. What makes them orderly? And who's the real fascist? Listen to Joy Reid talk.
Position. So I just cannot stress enough how politically ignorant these people are, right? I mean, it's just so funny to me how you have somebody like Joy Reid, who has been covering politics for so long, but yet she's so delusional in regards to why is it that Democrats would not want an AOC or a Jasmine Crockett as the leaders of their party, as being out front for people to see and to point to and say, hey, that is what Democrats stand for. I'm going to get into it, right? I'm going to explain it, but first I want to react to this clip of Roland Martin and Jasmine Crockett coping over the fact that Jasmine Crockett got rejected. Because, again, they're trying to pretend like it's some big mystery why she got rejected. But when you actually listen to Jasmine Crockett's explanation, what Democrats told her, it all makes sense. It all comes together because ultimately today, Jasmine Crockett is not a team player. And that's ultimately why she's not in leadership. And I'm going to explain to you guys exactly what Democrats mean when they say that she's not a team player, because it's not a big mystery in regards to what they're really saying to Jasmine Crockett. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this. Last question. You saw at the House Oversight Committee ranking member seat. Democrats chose Congressman Robert Garcia. I opened this talking about your constant travel, doing all kind of stuff, traveling the country, raising money, being away from home, all those sort of different things. And then you got folks on Capitol Hill, people in your own party saying, oh, she's not a team player, which is sort of weird if you are going on behalf, speaking in people's districts. They're asking you to come in. They're asking you to donate. You raise a lot of money. You donate it to others. So it had to be upsetting to hear people say you're not a team player. And so what focus now? Because obviously people still want you, media folks always calling you left and right, but that's a hell of a thing to say when your track record says, I've helped a lot of people out with money, time, and energy.
With the QuickBooks mobile app, you can snap your receipts, tap, and automatically sort transactions with us. Yeah, I want people to know that, like, I mean, when you're in politics in general, like, I mean, everything is a competition, number one. And number two, you know, somebody's got to lose. I mean, clearly there was only one spot. And so I do want to clear the air on this idea that, like, this is about a win or loss. For me, it's more so just some of the things that were said that were really disheartening in this race, right? And the only thing that I really wanted my colleagues to do is to make an assessment of who could be effective in this moment. And ultimately, if the caucus would have been like, yo, like, person X is like most effective in this moment, then that's one thing, right? It was just kind of some of the other stuff that was being said that was really, really disheartening for me. But at the end of the day, I am still the vice ranking member on oversight. I am still someone who sits on that committee. And so I am going to do what I need to do on oversight. I'm going to do what I need to do on judiciary. And it's just clear that, you know, leadership specifically, because I decided not to push it to the full caucus because of the message that elected and appointed leadership decided to send by the number of votes that, you know, I was given, even though I had more commitments than that going into the leadership meeting. So I said,
yeah, AKA they lied to her ass, right?
Yeah, you hear that? She said they told her that they was going to vote for her when she went to run. But then when they went in there, she finished last. Same thing they did with AOC. They put these loudmouths out there out front. And they talk their rhetoric and they talk down to people, say you ignorant, uneducated, and that's why you're conservative. And then when in the final analysis, when they see how ineffective these people are with reaching the mainstream people in the community, the factory workers and the common man, they not listening to them. And they not winning anything. The Democrat Party is finished because of people like Jasmine Crockett.
They told her, yeah, we gonna vote for you. And then when it came time to actually vote, they said, hell no. Again, the Democrat Party is a party full of snakes and backstabbers. But anyways, let me let her finish. I'm explaining to you guys exactly what's going on here.
okay, it's cool. Like, y'all sent a message that y'all aren't really open to working with me. And so I read the message loud and clear. And so for me, though, I think about the fact that there's a lot.
Now realize what she's saying. Her own party, who's been putting her out there, is saying, we're not willing to work with you. You over the top. You too much. You too much. And it's not working. You're not even reaching the people we thought you could reach because they stereotyped the black community. They thought that they put sister girl out front, that would make people think more liberal. And people rejected it, just like they rejected Kamala Harris.
The time that I have missed in the state of Texas in general. And so I'm not going anywhere, but I am going to move a little differently. I think that working with people like my pastor, Pastor Freddie Haynes, or working with Pastor Jamal Bryant, or working with Reverend...
You hear how crazy she is? Jamal Bryant, the apostate preacher, the Rainbow Coalition preacher, That's where she gonna get her power at. New Birth, where Bishop Eddie Long did his thing, and now Jamal Bryant is the pastor there. I don't even know how that is still considered a church.
I'm sorry, Bishop Jackson, or like there's so many others. I think that I'm gonna dig into like what I'm doing specifically with my advocacy and partnering up with those that are in the Black faith community, making sure that they have access to the information that they need.
Now, you remember I've been telling you how the Democratic Party was infiltrating the Black church. She's telling you where she's going, to the Black church, with liberalism, with transgenderism, with socialism. That's their new tactic. Not even realizing that a large percent of the Black community sees these pulpit pimps for what they are. And the support for the church in the Black community is dwindling because of this.
I think that I'm also going to dig in at the state level instead of kind of spreading myself thin, not getting enough rest because I'm constantly on flights. I've got well over 2 million miles because I have kind of been going and going. So, we've got these statewide elections that are going to take place in Texas. And so I think that those candidates can use me across the state of Texas to hopefully get us to some kind of wins. So I'm going to dig in more locally as well as kind of the Black faith community. That's probably where I'm going to.
We've been saying this about Jasmine Crockett. While she's been out on her Trump derangement campaign, she neglected her own constituents in Texas. Now she's realizing that since she's been rejected for leadership in the Democratic Party, that she got to go back to her base. And using the church as a stepping stone to get there is not going to work either. Watch what I tell you.
Expend a lot of my resources and my energy.
All right then, Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, we appreciate it. Long week, get some rest. Yeah, so you see that, you heard that. Now, you're not going to get any type of political analysis like this except on my channel, right? Because I don't think there's anybody that really breaks it down the way I break it down in regards to what she's actually saying. And they know why they don't want Jasmine Crockett to be a leader, but they just don't want to say it out loud because it doesn't fit this narrative that this whole pro-Black thing is something that can actually appeal to the broader electorate, right? That's the reality. First and foremost, listen to what she's saying. She's basically saying that she's not going to spend as much time doing national stuff like she was doing before, right? Now, what does that mean? What that means is that she's not spending any time in her district, right? She's not actually moving voters on the ground in the places where she actually has influence, right? In her own district, in her own state, she's not doing very much. And also when it comes to the actual Black electorate, which, again, that is what Democrats need from Black politicians, right? Democrats need from Black politicians to keep the slaves on the plantation, right? To make sure the slaves don't run away, keep them on the plantation and vote Democrat. That's what they need more than anything from Black Democrats. Jasmine Crockett has not done a great job of that, right? And some evidence in regards to that is just look at the Black vote in Texas. In 2020, okay, before Jasmine Crockett was a thing, right, Joe Biden got 90% of the Black vote. In 2024, Kamala Harris got 86%. So that's a 4-point loss. A 4-point loss in the state of Texas, which is the state that Jasmine Crockett is from. Now, again, what does that mean? Well, what that means is that in her own state, she is not influencing Black voters, again, the constituents that she is most effective with, or you would think she should be the most effective with. She's not actually moving them in her state. Now, that's not the end of the story. It actually gets worse because when you look at her district, okay, in 2020, Joe Biden got 78% of the vote, okay? Kamala Harris in 2024 got 73% of the vote. So that's a 5-point drop, a 5-point increase for Trump after Jasmine Crockett got elected. And she got elected back in 2022. So in 2 years, she is responsible for a 5-point drop for Democrats in her district, in Jasmine Crockett's district, more voters in her district said, you know, I want Trump, which is a problem, right? That means that she's actually not effective. They want to claim that, oh, well, you need somebody that's effective in the moment. Who's effective? You haven't proven that you're effective. Yeah, you can win in your district, but your district is a deep blue district full of blacks, right? So, yeah, it's easy for you to win in a district like that, but when you look at what is happening statewide, look at how Democrats lost. They lost.
Nearly home. Who done it?
We're looking for a house closer to everything, but we don't know where to start.
Ground with the black voter. So again, what have you done to move black voters in your own state, in your own district to vote, right? Hadn't done that much. But you spent all this time doing these national tours, these national shows, right? You're at this person's rally, you're at that person's rally. But yet, again, you're not actually moving voters. You're not doing anything except raising money nationally. And she may be sharing some of that money. She may be, you know, again, lending some of her resources or whatever. But that's still not going to help overall when you look at the type of divisive politics that she puts out there in the public. Like, for example, at the beginning of this video, I played the clip of her calling Trump supporters mentally ill, right? Trump supporters are mentally ill. While at the same time, in the next sentence, calling for bipartisanship. Now, how does that make sense? How are you supposed to get bipartisanship when you're saying in public that you think that anybody that supports Trump, they have to be mentally ill? You're a sitting member of Congress calling people who, again, are your constituents. There are Trump voters in her district. Not a lot of them, but they're there. But she is from a Trump state, right? When you're calling them mentally ill, how does that help the Democrat Party get those voters? It doesn't. The only thing it does is that it creates a liability for the Democrats, because now, like you guys saw, the Trump administration can say, hey, look, you got a Democrat saying that Trump supporters are mentally ill. Again, you got to win those people over, right? That's what Democrats forget. You have to win over people who don't agree with you, not just rally the lunatic.
I want to add to what he's saying. And you think about these black liberal politicians that are so anti-Trump that they want to hurt their own constituent base when it comes to getting federal funding from Trump, from the government. Trump runs the White House, the Senate. And instead of trying to find a way to work with him, you want to attack him at the expense of your constituents, your base. Your base is hemorrhaging and hurting for funds to rebuild and reconstruct their communities. And you think by attacking conservatives, that's going to help. It's just dumb.
To get out and vote, but you also got to win over the people who actually do vote, okay? So when she does things like that, when she comes out here and she pushes this anti-white rhetoric, right? When she's clearly a racist, she clearly does not like white people, okay? That turns off the electorate as a whole, right? Nationally speaking, it's a bad look for the Democrat Party. But for her, it's great because she doesn't suffer personally. She raises money. She's almost guaranteed to get reelected in her district unless some lunatic runs to the left of her, okay, in that district. But outside of that, again, it 100% benefits her, and it raises her profile, but yet it hurts the party. That's what they mean when they say that she's not a team player. And they all know that. Joy Reid knows that. Roland Martin knows. They all know it, but they can't say it out loud because it doesn't fit the narrative that they're putting out there that Jasmine Crockett is so effective. When she hasn't passed any legislation, she hasn't moved any voters. She can't move black voters in her own state. So again, where is this proof that Jasmine Crockett is so effective, right? Because, she says a bunch of things in Congress that you guys clip out and it gets a bunch of views on Roland Martin's channel. That doesn't mean that she's effective. That's internet stuff. That doesn't mean anything in real life. What real life data, what real life metrics do you have to suggest that Jasmine Crockett is effective for getting people to vote for Democrats, for helping Democrats win elections? There is no data. They have none whatsoever. So that's what people got to understand. There's a difference between social media and real life. In real life, people like Jasmine Crockett are a huge turnoff. It's part of the reason why Democrats lost in 2024. This toxic identity politics in which Jasmine Crockett is openly saying that she doesn't like white folks, especially white males. It's this black supremacist rhetoric. Yeah, you got to understand, a majority of the country is white, okay? And Democrats.
Shout out to Greg Foreman at the Black Conservative. I want to end on this note. The Democratic Party has been using these black people to actually galvanize and motivate black voters to vote Democrat. And they do it in a way that's disingenuous because they race bait and they race hustle. Even when you see trolls on a channel like mine, it's the racial component versus economics, capitalism, things that will move the needle in our communities. They want her to get out and say the most radical things, the most despicable things about conservatives, about the president-elect. And it's funny and it makes for good entertainment, but it's why they keep losing. It's why there won't be a Democratic president for a long time in this country. They're losers. They're losers because they are using identity politics and stereotypes to try to move the needle in our communities. And it's not working. So I think Jasmine Crockett got her Negro wake-up call from the Democratic Party, who's always been exploitive of black people. So this Detroit's HPTV. I'm going to sign out to you out of Detroit. Keep your head on swivel. As always, salute to all patriots. Like, share, and subscribe. Peace.